right now. Wow, that was a bad one there. It went down for a good minute. So here's the thing. I'm gonna go through these real quick. Okay, it said I'll do a little research about this. How many people that commit mass shootings and gun violence get their guns from gun shows? That's the problem. Is that really they don't know. There's no paperwork to back it. That's the problem. But then in this case, they know this kid went and bought those. That he went and bought them. It doesn't. He went and bought them from an actual gun shop right after his 18th birthday. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. The ability to get them on such an easy level is more the problem. When we look at individuals who aren't able to drive because of certain things that may not even be their fault, it's inherent genetically. It's a disability that they have. But we don't even take the time to take a look and say, oh, this person has this history of mental illness. They don't delve deep into individuals' histories like that when it comes to owning a gun, which I think is a much bigger responsibility. That's a big part of the problem. So it's the capability of killing people. Cars can't kill as much as a rifle or firearm. In fact, I don't think a car can do as much given the circumstances that we gave and in such a quick time, in such a quick of a time. I mean, I can give you a much worse scenario, but I prefer not to because that's kind of irresponsible on my behalf to do so. But I'm sure we can all think of much worse scenarios. Honestly. My sister's boyfriend got in a car crash. He lives so gun. Most people live in a car crash. Been shot because people know where to shoot to kill. Okay, and that's the thing. So, car crashes. Out of all the years that I've driven, I've been in a couple of car crashes, but never that I caused, or never in the sense where I was the driver in that instance. This car crash that I got into, that I was the driver, that I still didn't fucking cause. You don't know this, Patriot, because you weren't in the stream when this happened. I actually got on stream when I came back, while like during the healing process. I literally died twice in that car crash. Okay, head went through side, some other stuff happened, heart gave out, come back, lung collapsed. Brought me back, went to a mini coma, was in the hospital for multiple days, woke up like, what the fuck? There are some car crashes that people survive without a scratch. I didn't break a single bone. Didn't break a single bone on my body. Built like a tank. For all the damage that happened, I didn't break a bone. I was bruised. I was like cut. Something pierced through my chest. All kinds of stuff. What sent me into those two states was the rage that I felt and went into after, because it was like all the control that you, like right now, you can control the outcome of your world around you and everything else. But in that moment, while being concussed, having my head go through the fucking window of my driver's side door, I went into fight or flight mode. That's what caused that to happen. The car crash, yes, might have been the perpetrator of the whole incident. Someone hitting me was the first part of that, but it wasn't the car crash that did it. Whatever went and hit right at my sternum and left a hole and a scar there didn't kill me. It was everything after, because of the fact that I was in that mode of what the fuck is going on. I have no control. Now people are trying to grab me. And so I'm fighting for my life because I don't know what the fuck's happening. That did it. I survived that horrid of a car crash. others I've seen do the same. But a gunshot, much higher possibility of you being ended, especially when it's a situation where it's a constant fire. One bullet, two bullets, even you might survive. Hell, some motherfuckers we know I've been shot 9 times. I think we all know who we talking about. I literally know a dude that they gave a nickname in the city of Chicago because of the amount of times that he was shot and survived. However, on the greater probability of it all, you are not surviving a gunshot, whereas you're more likely to survive the car crash. Okay, I think it's because owning a firearm is a right and driving is not. That's what I've heard. I know they always say owning a firearm is a right and driving is a privilege. Guess the fuck what? Me drinking a beer, you want to call that a privilege? A privilege of being the age of 21? Huh. In order to enjoy said privilege, as far as driving a car, I still have to go through classes. Owning a gun is somehow more of a right than me going out to go and buy a fucking beer. I can put my ass cheeks on the line going into the military, and this was a huge thing back in the day. Like years 50, 60, 70, even like people were like, wait a minute, you got 18-year-old boys going into the 17, in some cases, 16 and 17-year-old boys going into the military, but they can't even have a beer. They are about to possibly go and die, but can't drink a beer. And you're given a gun in those instances because of all of the training that you have behind you. To go out on the streets as an everyday individual, as a 17, 18-year-old kid and buy an AR, fuck no, you shouldn't be allowed to do it. I don't care if it's a right, but it's just like what I said earlier. It's your right to own firearms, but I can't own a 50 caliber sniper rifle or a 60 caliber sniper rifle or like large, heavy weaponry of that manner. I can't own grenades. Like, that's the thing. You want to say it's a right, but you have a limitation or stipulation on that right, which isn't even in the Constitution. It's not written in the Constitution. You put that stipulation in at a later point in time. What's the problem with saying now that an 18-year-old child should not be able to go out and buy a goddamn AR, or someone who has a history of mental health issues, schizophrenia, different things of that nature, constant and overwhelming depression, and all of these different things? Why is it not a thing where people are like, hold on, maybe we shouldn't give these individuals weapons, or we shouldn't allow these individuals to have certain weapons, or at least they have to have some form of training or whatever. Something has to be done. But one of the reasons why guns can never be gotten rid of, to be honest about it, is this. We find new ways technologically to create anything and everything. And as we all know, 3D printed guns are a real thing. And they're becoming more and more realistic as time goes on. That's just a fact. When you can 3D print an AR, you got a real problem. The only catch to it, I believe, with a lot of those 3D printed weapons is that the firing mechanism or the firing pin has to be real. However, that can easily be done. We can buy certain things directly offline too. And not just that, there's going to be a way to actually do it to the extent of, I'll be able to 3D print a fucking firing pin. It may require some other form of ammunition, whatever, but somebody will figure that out too. And if the argument goes down to, well, with a 3D printed gun, you still have to know how to make bullets. Let's remember that gunpowder is a very easy thing to make. and originally was created by the Chinese for whatchamacallit, fireworks. Very simple to make. And then ends up in the hands of, I want to say it was Oda Nobunaga, who is probably one of the first rulers in history known for their use of weaponry in Japan, in a society where guns aren't even allowed in this day and age. Think about that. Shot 9 times while at McDonald's. Crazy that he survived. Yes, exactly. It happens, just not on a high scale of probability. Grenade is not a firearm, and the 50 cal isn't owned by a lot of people because you could be owning better guns than a sniper because 50 cal is way more expensive. Yes, however, there are actually laws against owning a 50 or 60 cal sniper rifle. I'm sorry, I don't give two shits. Like, I could rip you in half with one of those. In half, easily. You can't go out and buy and I understand, yeah, you can say a grenade is not a firearm. Same concept though, weaponry of that stature. But let's go ahead and step aside from that. That's perfectly fine. There's still weapons that are illegal to own. They just are. Firearms that are illegal to own. How is it, and what really fucking kills me, knives are very easily concealed. Very easily. Everyone can own them. Of course, you can't own, I believe it's blade beyond 7 inches, especially in concealment in most cities and states. It's a very, I don't know why that just popped in my mind, but very interesting concept. I have no hate towards the states, but oh wow, every horrible thing happens there. Vasi, listen. I'll get into that in a second. Shootings, violence, horrible drivers, everything. Yeah, there are heavy regulations on certain firearms, but they aren't illegal. Well, in some cities and states, they are illegal. But if you have heavy regulations on certain firearms, why don't you have heavy regulations on all firearms? Because innately, they are built to do the same thing. It's dumbfounding how we say this is supposed to be this free and open system that you can do these things, but we're going to pick and choose what we regulate and what we don't. Yes, horrible things happen everywhere. You are absolutely correct, Patriot. But I can understand, like, you have to understand something. He's absolutely right in that instance, Fossey, and that's what I want to say as well. Horrible things happen everywhere. However, on the scale of which it happens more so in the United States. And I know what a lot of people's argument wants to be at that point. Well, the US has a larger population than certain countries and so on and so forth. Guess the fuck what? The US is still one of the smaller countries in the world. The US's population is only 314 to 317 million individuals. That's it. Taking that into account, you look at countries that are larger than the US. They still have less violent deaths, shooting deaths, fucking all kinds of things than the US does. The question then becomes, why is it that these places that we consider second and third world countries have a much lesser crime rate, have a much lesser prison rate, so on and so forth, than a place that we look at as a first world country? The leader in military, the leader in a lot of the world's ethical standings and everything else. It's how we see ourselves in the US. Why is that? And I mean, I have my own ideals and reasonings as to why that is, but it's something I think I'll have to get into at another point in time because it is it's a large ideal behind it. What do you mean which countries? Which countries on which portion of what I just said? Did you see the graph I showed you guys? I mean, if you just take it off of that graph alone, per 100,000 individuals, the number of gun related killings there are, the US outranks every one of them. Every one of them. Nay. Okay, are we back? There we go. Yeah, what we've had 3 disconnects and reconnects now, I think, or maybe that was 4. I'm not sure at this point. I've lost count. But honestly, you can choose which countries. I mean, even if you take that list offhand, England, Great Britain, places like that, China, we can, you know, we can take a look, and it's honestly easy to say. Canada, our northern partner, you know, there's some places that are unfair to compare. So I would never say like Australia, anything like that, because that is a borderless country, number one. But at the same time, if we're looking at it from the aspect of what happens internally, not external conflict, even still, can look at that. There's numerous countries. The U.S. here. In fact, let me do this real fast. Whoops. Okay, let me drag this here to where I can see it on this screen. Okay, China, India, of course, those are the 2 fucking largest countries. US comes in 3rd. So the US is the 3rd largest country. 320 million residents. So when I originally said this quite some time ago, 320 was about the right number. Someone showed me 314 based on the census. But I don't know. That's why I say it's between 314 and 320. The BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, generally regarded as 4 major. Well, you have to break those apart. Nigeria. Okay, this doesn't just break it down. Mexico, around 129 people. That's just rough right there. Europe, the UK, Germany, France, Italy are among the top 10 largest economies. But that doesn't answer the question I was looking for. I'm looking for total population by country. Essentially, I know this to be true, that the US is not the largest country in the world. And in fact, yeah, the EU would be the 3rd. There we go. So the whole entirety of the EU. And if we broke down the entirety of the EU, it would still be less than the United States. 447 million. Indonesia's next, 272. Uttar Pradesh, 237. Pakistan, 229. And we are not talking global conflict wars, anything like that, country to country, internally as a country. The thing is, I see that countries with less freedom have less crime. So in the US, we should get rid of freedom like 2A, and then the government should take care of us. Well, see, and that's the problem. Okay, so it's not, I said something about this in another stream. It's not so much the freedoms, It's our willingness to abuse said freedoms. That's the problem. People in the greater group of people in the US are willing to abuse the freedoms that we have in such a manner for their own plight. It's astounding. The crimes that we have here, just what? And what's so crazy about this is that we call ourselves a first world country, but then if you go by state and go into certain areas and cities and things like that, you wouldn't be able to tell them from a third world country based on some of the things that happen there, based on the poverty levels. It's a huge mixture throughout the entire country. The rights are not the problem. It's the people abusing them. It's the people not understanding what those freedoms really mean. I think that's a bigger problem there. But again, it's not something I want to delve into because there's a lot that can be said in that. But when your government officials don't stand up to protect the most innocent of your citizens by just tweaking, adjusting, making better laws on the laws that stand because their pockets can get fat, that's a problem. It's a fucking problem. And again, I made the comparison. Japan, yes, smaller country, but certain areas are more condensed than fucking New York City in Tokyo. That crime right there, there's crime, but nowhere near on the level of crime that we find here. Their laws may even seem a little bit more lax. And what you also have to remember is that a lot of these countries that we talk about as well are other democratic countries. They have certain laws and freedoms. Yes, there's certain things that don't go as far as in the US, but there's certain laws and freedoms that they have as well. They just don't try to push it in excess. I don't know. I've actually happened to watch a lot of interrogations from the US, and I've come to a conclusion. It is my opinion, of course. Not everyone is to have a gun. Considering that a weapon gives you power, it's simply not for everyone. So many cases in which people are pulling guns for stupid issues such as getting yelled at, pushed, hit by someone. I agree with that. And I think that those things can happen in a greater deal of places, but then that's why a lot of countries just have laws of no guns. The only people that carry weapons of that nature are police officers, people who take a very serious responsibility to do so. And at the same time, that's where the abuse of freedoms and the absolute audacity that a great deal of us have, that we have the right to do these certain things, the absolute audacity to believe that I can go and do something horrible to someone and not deserve any consequences behind it. Only, I swear to you, to watch a group of girls get caught who were in a ring of, like, a criminal ring, going out robbing makeup counters and then reselling them to get, at a lower price to make money for themselves, to have the audacity that when you get caught, set down in interrogation, a couple of girls actually went, "Oh my God, why is this happening to me? My family, they're gonna be so upset. Like you can't lock me up. You can't do this to me. Bitch, I can't do this to you. I can do it to you. It is my job to stop you from going out and robbing this corporation of their products because it's against the fucking law. We live in a country where it's becoming more and more prevalent that people do not understand that there are consequences for their actions. Why is that? Maybe, it's the abuse of these freedoms, these privileges, and everything else. It is not fair for everyone else to have to suffer for the fuckery of a few. But sometimes it's not fair at all, and it should not happen. But the fuckery of a few really should make people look at the laws you have on the books. The gun laws are way too lax. There's not enough responsibility put on the sellers. If you want to go back and blame the manufacturers or whatever, you can do that too. But the sellers, especially when it comes to an unregulated space. And that is the problem. That's why I made the NFT and even crypto comparison, because those are unregulated spaces where people get scammed on a constant basis. And one of those things is NFTs specifically were built on the backbone of a fucking scam. Gun shows are not regulated, just as NFTs are not regulated. As long as I can get my money, I'm going to sell these guns. And it's better if you pay in cash. And I'm telling you right now, it gets said all the time at these things. It's better if you pay in cash because that alleviates a whole lot of extra paperwork on my end. The fuck? You just shirked the law in every manner. Every manner. All right, let me read these last few. China is not free, but it doesn't have as much violent gun deaths, so we should take their approach, or maybe like EU. And that's the thing. So China, I don't think, I'm sure you understand some of the things that happens in China. China can be it's a very fucked up country. There's no other way to put it. When it comes down to the way that the government holds reign over its people, and the fact that you can, technically come up missing for saying the wrong thing, being a citizen against the government, that's a fucked up situation. That's no rights or whatever. But yeah, they have less gun deaths. The EU does as well. But it's not so much having to take those approaches. It's just simply saying that as a country, we have this problem. There has to be a way that we can resolve it. What's required is what a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to see beyond their own point of view. They don't want to step into the other side or step foot on the other side because it doesn't necessarily benefit them. And you understand what I'm talking about at that point, the right, the left, Democrats, Republicans, however you want to fucking put it. Too much conflict in a government that's supposed to reach out and help maintain the society of an entire country of 320 million people. It's too much conflict to not be able to simply say, okay, we got a real problem here with these gun laws and some of this shit getting out here, the way it's getting out here, and then having this situation happen numerous times in numerous schools, in numerous, places where people are meant to feel safe, movie theaters, nightclubs, just wide out in the open. Broad fucking daylight in some cases. Dirt don't get done at night no more. It's in the daytime now, baby. That's what it is. You have to be able to say, we have a problem. Let's try and resolve this problem, even if it's something hard. But money rules. And I'm sorry, until it becomes a thing where you don't get paid from these lobbyists, from the NRA, shit like that anymore, this is the problem we're going to have. And hey, this is going to sound extremely fucked up, but I need you all to understand. And if anybody takes this out of context and tries to clip it and throw it on the internet, I'll just call you a piece of shit and call you out on it in a heartbeat. That's anybody that watches this. It's almost like saying, hey, fuck it. It was just a group of kids. What does it really matter? In the grand scheme of our population, our rights, and everything else, what does it matter? I think that's pretty fucked up. And how would the government protect us? They couldn't even win it. See, that's a whole nother situation we can get into. It's too long of a thing right now. I like that makeup situation. So since people get scammed, we should protect them. Well, but here's the thing. No, that wasn't the point there. When you play in an unregulated market, people are bound to break the laws. That's the point. In an unregulated market, such as the NFT market and the crypto market, it's unregulated. And so therefore, more criminals go to play in it. Because guess what? They can make money. In a gun show, it is unregulated on that level just the same. Not every sale has to be on the books. As long as you put 1 or 2 sales on the books during a gun show, fuck it. You could even get away with saying, I didn't even make any sales. Whatever. It's unregulated. So criminals go in there to play. Or they don't even consider themselves criminals. They consider themselves patriots. Get a gun in every hand. I'm also sick of seeing people getting shot and the shooters desperately trying to convince interrogators that it was self-defense, fucking their manifestos, all these other things. Like, one of the things that I really think, and I said this before, when it comes to the individuals who go out and commit these mass murders, that's what they are. Their name should not be used, their pictures should not be put out, and their manifestos should be under lock and key, and the only individuals that know about it are the people who are about to charge them, and that is it. They should get no fucking clout whatsoever. No clout. A few bad apples represent the issue. I've heard more people use guns in self-defense than people use it to kill people willy-nilly. You can be correct on that. However, here's the problem, all right? And I think this is in bad faith when it comes to media and things like that. You never really hear the good, you only hear the negative. And the fact of the matter is this. In a self-defense situation, if I had to defend myself, first and foremost, I'm going to take the approach where I don't necessarily want to kill you. But if you put me in that predicament and I have to use a gun, you're going down. That's it. All right. In fact, I still might clip you, kneecap you, wing you, whatever the case may be, in order to stop from taking your life. Make sure you get arrested. Make sure you get charged. You suffer the consequences, okay? We don't hear about that, though. What we see are these mass shootings, these horrible, horrible instances. And I'm sorry, even the individuals that have guns who claim self-defense aren't necessarily defending themselves. Fuck. I've seen it where a person pulls a gun on somebody while ordering a fucking sandwich. How crazy does that sound? Because they thought while standing in a fucking line in a restaurant that the individual in front of them was trying to rob the place. What? For anything positive we want to take from the use of guns and how they can defend and so on and so forth, the negative definitely outweighs it. And it outweighs it in such a manner that it's insane. I'm sorry, I don't think teachers want to have to go to school with a fucking AR-15, any AR style rifle, an AUG, doesn't matter. I don't think any teacher wants to go to school and have to have an AR in their fucking classroom to protect against somebody potentially coming in and doing what they did. And what's really fucked up in that situation, they have protocols at that school. And remember how we talked about locking doors? One of the back doors was open, and that's how he got in too. That's what's super fucked up too, is that that back door was open for whatever reason. It was unlocked. All the rest of the doors locked. That one door was not locked. And that's how he got in. Fucking horrible. But yeah, anyway. Buying a gun should be like, if you buy it, yeah. That's the whole thing. The law should be more stringent and more clear, and most definitely there should be no deterrence from said law, whether you are in a gun shop or at a gun show. Hey B, did you already get offline? I was gonna say we can keep playing, but I am gonna end up ending the stream. But we can keep playing if you wanted to. Oh damn, Sharp Carbon, holy shit! Sniper Chick's on too. But yeah. So it's just one of those things. What's going on, Sniper? You are, bro. What's good? You late, but glad to see you here, my friend. Glad to see you here. So yeah, it's one of those things that we can do a lot better. And a lot of the different things that we talk about, like I said, we can get into those other discussions at a different point in time. And in fact, there were other things I actually wanted to discuss, but I think we hit on two pretty good topics there, if I must say so. You know, good job on that. And thank you all for having that discussion with me. Like I said, it doesn't matter what we talk about. I have no issue with discussing these things. 60 days in, no. No, I do not. What is it? Show? Movie? I'm going to guess a show since you said, do you watch 60 Days In? Oh my God. Sitting here running my mouth and forgetting to drink water. What's that about, Snipe? Program, like programming or what? Or you saying it's a program? So I'm guessing a TV show of some sort or a show on some service. But what's it about? But yeah, for those of you that just jumped in, we have been talking about everything. We were originally playing Call of Duty while conversating. But considering the fact that OBS just wants to keep failing on me, I got annoyed with it. And I don't know if B's still on right now and he's still gaming. I don't see him in the list. Wilma's on too. Wilma Finger do. Am I still on like a drastic? Okay, it's basically like you go to this prison as an undercover person and you have to get as much info about how people get drugs in jail. Oh my God, this is easy. I'll tell you all the ways that people get drugs in jail. All right, we can have this conversation too. I know a lot about the prison system. So their butthole is one thing. I mean, that's just what it is. All right. Family members coming and visiting. Some of the things that family members will do when they go to visit, holy shit, will have y'all in the bathroom like, ah, ah. Like it's crazy. But at the same time, yeah, there's also officers who bring them in. No matter what any guard says, there's somebody in that prison that's bringing some shit in. Motherfuckers have taken cell phones and cheeked it in order to get it into a prison where you are not allowed to have cell phones. And when I say cheek it, I mean, no, it went up in the cheeks, okay? A couple of them. How you can move with that in your body, my ninja, I don't know. There was an instance where a corrections officer here in Arizona was beaten within an inch of her life. And here's why. So the way that prison typically works, you have minimum yards and you have maximum yards. In certain areas, you have what they go on a level like 1 to 5. All right. 4 and 5 being max, and out in Arizona, they call them the walls and things like that. Where, I mean, motherfuckers get like maybe an hour a day out. Some people just are not allowed out. This was on a yard that was a level 3, 4, like mid custody sort of situation. So this corrections officer, she had been sneaking things in. The officers, when they go in, they get they have to run through a scanner just the same. The rules on yards are just the same for the officers in essence as they are for the prisoners. Most definitely no cell phones allowed on the yards, period. This officer was sneaking certain things in with her holes. Yeah, she knew the system of who'd be checking in when they were at the gate, how she could get around the metal detectors, all sorts of different things, or blame it on what was in her bag at that point in time, which of course meant that, I mean, if you're an officer, I'm going to trust you and we're going to let you go ahead and go through and not really think that you have now shoved something into your body in both areas. Well, she was bringing certain things into this individual because out on the streets, he was contacting his associates and making sure that she got some money here, little clout in the streets there. Even went so far as to give her some D and, while on the lockup. And one day she decided that she would fuck up with some of the product that was supposed to be coming in. This individual made it very clear, no. You fucked up. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and bring some more in on this day, and you're going to make sure it gets here. She decided to refuse. He decided he didn't like that answer. Now, let's preface this. Your choices have consequences, people. She made a choice. She broke the law on so many levels, it is unfathomable. You knew what this individual was there for. You knew what this individual was about, but you decided to break these laws for him. And then you turn around after you fuck his money up and say, I'm not going to do it. How far can I actually go into what happened to her? Okay, I'll do it this way. He looked at, he was in perma lockdown, like not allowed out of his cell at that moment, and said to the individual that was outside, hey, deal with her. Okay. Broom, beating, down, bring her over here in front of me, dragged her in front of the cell, stripped her down, and used the tools that were available and beat her badly. Now, that's fucked up. Extremely fucked up. She was still able to sue the state, and even though she should have been brought up on charges of all kinds, she was still able to sue the state too. I can tell you so many fucking things about that world. It's crazy as shit. It's crazy. That's only one time something like that happened. I know of worse. And if you thought that was bad, I can tell you worse. I know some crazy shit about that. It's insane. And in fact, hold on, what does it say? Hey, thank you very much for that, Patriot, the sub and the like. I remember there was some American show called Beyond Scared Straight. It was literally a show about taking children with antisocial behavior in prison for a few days to teach them a lesson. Not sure if it was staged though. Did you happen to watch it? I know of that show and I know of the program too. In fact, I know of that program well before it was ever a show, and I know of a corrections officer who in Illinois actually was one of the people who I'm not going to say started it, but was a huge part of that program. And it did work in some cases, but the problem with doing it nowadays is that kids think it's clout to run into those situations. But what they don't understand is if they go in there and act a fool and there's one slip up and they're fucking with real convicts, if they slip up, if the guard slips up and can't get that kid out of the way or can't get that inmate from grabbing the kid, pulling him into a cell and closing and slamming the door, man, that shit will not end well. I don't think they still do that, do they? Like, that is a dangerous fucking situation. And you try and pick the best of the worst in those scenarios, but that motherfucker might have a bad day. And let a little kid spit in I'll tell you right now, I don't think I've ever seen it where one of them kids ever spit in a convict's face. Because I'll tell you right now, if they're a convict and they got spit, yeah, if they haven't stopped that show, they need to stop that show. That's it. And it wasn't even for antisocial behavior, Vasi. It was for being bad fucking kids. Like, thugging it out, beating up little girls for no reason, other boys, taking weapons to school, dealing drugs at the age of 12 and 13 years old, thinking it was the life to live. Bruh. Basically what they do is the undercover people try to trade for drugs and shanks, because if you don't pay what you were given, you get stabbed with a shank. Well, yeah, here's the thing. All right. Prison has its own economy. Prison has its own systems, and depending on what state it is, and sometimes what city it is within a state, determines the rules and the laws. Certain individuals head certain groups in the prison. In prison, a lot of time, it's a segregated situation. And I mean that to where if you had black friends out in the street, well, guess what? When you were white, guess what? You go into prison in certain places, you only hang out with the whites. They are going to indoctrinate you into the life of the Aryan Brotherhood on a greater scale. You will not sit and eat with any other ethnicity. If you do, or if you want to, here's the law, here's the rule. You go into prison, you're white, you want to sit with the blacks because, I mean, hell, your girlfriend is fucking black, or you got family that's black, or whatever. You got to fight to do it. They will make you fight to do it. The whites will say, oh no, we don't do that shit. You have to take on him, him, and him. And not one after another, all at once. Yeah. Prison works differently than the outside world. It's a whole different politics. It's a whole different everything. That's all there is to it. But I think Beyond Scared Straight was not about kids with anti. So okay, I made that point. I know prisoners in the U.S. are scary. Not sure if it's my idea, but everyone there is jacked, bro. Like that's the thing. Well, so another rule is if you're of a certain age, you typically do have to work out at least once a day while you're in there. Some people are overweight just the same or whatever, and if you're older, they don't really give a shit. But what you have to be aware of is that wars break out in prisons, riots all the time over anything. There was a full year of rioting on every yard in the Arizona correctional complexes. A full year. All because one individual on one of those high yards called somebody out, got his ass whooped, and couldn't take his beating like a man. He decided that he was going to try and kill someone over it, and fucked around and caught the wrong brother who put him down, and it caused race riots on every yard. Prison has its own fucking, like, you would think that no one would know what's going on each individual. No. Everybody knows what's going on every single one of them. It's crazy. It is its own world. I'm telling you right now. Like, the military has nothing. And prisoners, some of the motherfuckers, like, the things that they think about or try to create while in there and everything else is like, oh, I see how you got in here. I see how you got in here. Okay. All right. After they get the drugs, they give it to the cops. They don't get all the drugs ever. And I'm going to tell you right now, let a motherfucker get caught, their life is over in there. It's over. I mean, unless they do it on one of the, what do they call, there's certain yards where they have people that are called, they call it PC cases. Essentially, those are the guys who are fucking snitches, or they didn't pay their debt or something like that, and they ran from multiple prison complexes, and so they end up on this PC yard, quote unquote protective custody style yard, in order to keep them out of the other general populations, because they essentially have marks on their head. But even if you do something like that on a PC yard, the only thing that saves you is if it's a low custody yard where people are ready to go. Otherwise, they get caught, it's over. Cameras don't make a fucking world of difference to your ego, your pride, and your name in prison. It's kind of like you have to fight because it's some... Exactly. But if you don't, you'll get beaten down. But here's the thing. It also depends on which groups you're in and where you are in the US with these prisons and things like that. How do we get on this conversation? I was ending the stream. You motherfuckers to drag me into this conversation. Good job, Sniper. But the situation is that it depends on a lot of different things. So what you're in there for could get you fucked up the moment you walked in. Flat out. Flat out. The moment you step foot on a yard, more than likely everyone there knows about you. Not just that, but typically you have to go in with court paperwork and stuff like that. And what a lot of the whites do, and depending on where you are, it's so crazy. Because listen to this. All right, let me break something down for you. I always say ethnicity, but for the sake of this, I'm going to say races, okay? The white, stick with the white race. Blacks, stick with the black race. But the blacks, however, in the state of Arizona, will allow in just about anybody because they don't give a fuck. They're like, I'm dead ass when I say this. When I say this, the blacks don't give a fuck. Anybody can roll with them. They're fine with it. I've seen individuals, Jewish people most definitely roll with the blacks. They will not run with the whites. I think we can all understand why. Muslims, oh, I'll have to change the battery. Okay, sorry about that. But Muslims, white, black, or otherwise, most definitely run with African Americans because of the fact that, well, I think we understand why again. Native Americans, typically, it's a weird situation in Arizona, depending on where you are, I believe it is. But the natives will typically, how do I even put this? It's weird because on some level they fuck with the blacks, but somehow when it's broken down into like race riots and things like that, somehow they end up working with the whites. It's okay, whatever. And Asians, dependent, typically are with the whites as well. Chicanos and Latinos, things of that nature. So there's two different groups when it comes to this in prison. You have the Chicanos, which are typically the American-born Hispanics, and then what they call the Paisas, which are the Mexican-born Hispanics or other regions. How fucking crazy is that? But if anything breaks out, I mean, truces are made, like all kinds of shit. It's a whole a whole new world, like some shit like nothing you've ever fucking dealt with. All right, and then like when you there are literal stores in prison. People can buy, trade, sell anything they want to. I'm not kidding about this. Own fucking economy. When it comes to drugs and shit like that, that's at the top of the economy. Go into debt if you want to. You catching the ass whooping. And in some cases, they send people out in the chopper on a stretcher or a body bag. Period. At least if you screw up badly, you stay there for your whole life. Here, no matter what you do, yes, even mass shooting, you stay in prison for 25 years at most by law. So here's the thing about that. And I know that about Greece, and I know of the laws as they stand in Japan and things of that nature. Here's my thing on it, okay? There are some crimes that you should never be allowed to get out of prison for. There are some people in the States who are in prison on bullshit charges. There was a man who spent 25 years in prison because he protected his son. Now, he had a prior weapons charge when he was younger, but on this specific day, some people came by his home. His son was outside, comes running into the house because 3 boys were chasing him. Not to fight him, but to kill him. Because he had been blamed for something that he absolutely had no part in. The son comes back out and like, leave us alone. One of the kids pull out a fucking bat. Goes after his son. The dad comes out, stops the kid, pushed him down, get the fuck off of my property. What the kid do? He came up, ran at the son again, trying to go and circumvent the dad. Bam! Hit him. Knocked his ass out. One of the other kids, what they do? Pulled a gun. Pulled a gun. This man put one of those kids down, and the other two were in the condition of having to be, buried. And these aren't even like little kids. These kids, I'm saying, they were more like older teenagers. And he spent 25 years in prison because of it. Sound fair? Not really. He was protecting his family. Protecting his family. He's got other kids in the house at that point in time. What if his daughter had come outside? What if his elderly mother had stepped outside? He's taking care of an entire family. There you go. And then there's the ones who, legit did not deserve to be in prison. You see it all the time. But the thing about Japan and Greece and stuff like that, what I was going to say is that when it comes to Japan specifically, it's that whole ordeal of shaming an individual for a lifetime for something that they can completely atone for. And I can understand that. And what's really fucked up is that the laws in the US, you'd be kind of surprised at the discrepancies that happen. So think about this. You can get a manslaughter charge, but you still killed somebody. Maybe it wasn't premeditated. Maybe it was accidental, but you still killed somebody. And in some cases, it's not even that it was quote unquote a mistake, but you were so fucked up, you lapsed in judgment and you end up in prison instead for like 4 to 6 years. But you killed somebody. What? But you can go to prison for a drug charge for 10 years or a fraud charge that you knew nothing about for 10 years. But get a manslaughter, which is technically a murder charge, and go to prison for 4 to 6 years. There's a woman here in the States who, this was humongous news. This woman left her child. Oh, I don't even like talking about this. It's fucking disgusting. Just disgusting. This woman goes out, has her kid in the car, decides that she's going to go inside the house, leave your kid inside the car. You didn't even have that many groceries as it was found out. You probably had like 2, maybe 3 grocery bags. That's it. Hot as fuck. I mean, blazing hot outside. Murder hot. As an adult, you know how when you get in your car, or even as a kid, whatever, you get into a car and you take that breath and it's nothing but hot air like that. Like, oh shit, I just lost all breath, can't speak, like somebody just chopped you in the fucking throat. That kind of heat outside. And you decided to go inside, spark up a blunt, sat there and got high as fuck. So high that you decided to get up, go lay down, take a nap. Mind you, at some point in time, you were on the phone too. Maybe you popped a couple of pills as well after getting as high as you were. And then she laid down, went to sleep. And you know what they found in that car? When it's that hot inside of a leather vehicle, danger. Exactly. I haven't read through chats yet. I'll get to it, but I just saw the danger sign roll by. Yeah. When it's that hot in a car and your skin is touching leather, you can only imagine what I could say right now that I'm not going to say. And the baby was done. It was over. Okay. Goes to court, all this shit, and there's no if and or buts about it that she did this. Neglect 100%. You got high. oh, like whatever the fuck else you did, but you left your kid in a blazing hot car in this dead ass heat of summer, no windows down, no nada, forgot they were there. All right, go to court. And it goes to the extent where the prosecuting attorney breaks down in fucking tears because of what she's having to like say about this woman. The woman the whole time, honestly, she was just like, the shit happened. Ain't no sense, crying over spilled milk sort of shit. She gets charged. The charge legit was like, put her away, put her under the prison, leave her the fuck there. I mean, that's how they hit her with the sentence. Not the charge, but the sentencing. Essentially, it was a fair sentence. But guess what? Guess the fuck what? They turned it around and said it was manslaughter. Do you know she did no more than 13 months in jail for it? She didn't even go to prison. The bitch sat in jail for 13 months and they let her the fuck go. What is that? There are certain things, like I said before, that you should go to prison and sit your ass there and rot for the rest of your fucking life. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that is almost one of those things. But even still, I can say, all right, you give her the 15 fucking years. That is heinous, irresponsible, and so many other things that I can go into on so many other levels. But instead, in total, with the time she was already in, everything else, let's just say 3 years. Are you fucking kidding me? What? Because you have to understand that when you're sitting in jail or whatever, waiting to be sentenced, going through the trials and all this other stuff, that time they can actually take and say, well, we'll put it towards your sentence. That's how fucked up the laws are. So when it comes to Japan, I understand why they have the standing laws they have on the books. And then the same thing in Greece. There are some things that no, you should not absolutely destroy an individual's life over. When it comes to murder, though, it still does have to be a severe punishment. And I'm gonna say that when it comes to premeditated murder, heinous acts, you probably should never get off. But I understand that Greece has that 25-year law. I get it. All right, next up, let's see what's what. Some dude was paralyzed because people kept stomping on him because he kept making racist comments to the other. Yes, bro, yes. Because here's what you have to understand. Even though motherfuckers in there are 100%, like, can be 100% racist, and there are some that are 100% racist, understand that there's a consequence that if you say something, so if somebody came to me and said some crazy shit on sight, as soon as your mouth bang, was good, we in it right then and there. And afterward, I'm gonna squash it and I'm gonna tell the other, hey, get him the fuck off this yard. Period. Or they're going to then stomp him the fuck out and drag him off the yard or force him to get off the yard, because what they don't want to happen, remembering what prison is, it is its own society. It's its own system, everything else. You want to live out whatever time you have in there as peaceful as you possibly can. And that is disturbing everyone's peace. It's putting everyone in danger, because off of that racist comment, racist remark that you made to someone directly to their face, you want to say it in the company of your little group and shit like that, you can do that. But when you say it to an individual's face, you gotta suffer the consequences. And if you said it in front of too many people, not only are you suffering the consequences of that one-on-one situation, you've potentially just started a riot, and everybody in that motherfucker is subject to going in a body bag. Period. That's how it works. I remember some dude in the States got in prison For 2 years, he was ex-criminal, and his best friend's ex-girlfriend, who literally never saw him in her life, accused him of robbery. Whoa! With signings that he was supposed to be guilty until, thank God, they realized that the woman was lying. Hey, Deadlock, what's going on? I'm sorry, I didn't see you see the hello. I'm trying to go through chats right now because we have been on every topic you could possibly think of. Started off with love and relationships, really good conversation, and then it went into the whole situation with mass shootings and comparisons in countries and fucked up the ability to just purchase a gun as a 13-year-old kid without any background check, anything else. And now we jumped into the prison system because of one comment, but here we are. But that happens a lot, Bossy. It happens a great deal. It's not just an instance like that. It's people who are charged with, we're going to put a G on the front of the R word because YouTube doesn't like the R word alone. Great. Okay, like fruit, grape, you know what I'm talking about, but drop the G. So, yeah, it happens a lot. There are real instances where motherfuckers committed and deserve to be locked up, but there's a lot of instances where it doesn't happen. The motherfuckers are lying, and they will hold on to that lie, and a motherfucker will sit in prison for 10 to 12 years. There's a huge case of this that made national news. In some cases, it sparked outrage in other countries as well, worldwide. Dude sat in prison for like 10 to 12 years, all because a girl lied one night, because she didn't want her friends to think she was a slut. That's an excuse, and nothing ever happened to her. The girl who ruined the kid's career, who was on his way to becoming a doctor at one of the most prestigious colleges in the States. No consequences for her. He still got expelled from school, and he didn't do shit. They have proof, evidence. He didn't do shit. Prison's no different. People get locked up for many things that they had nothing to do with. But then, when it does work, it does work. He died 2 weeks later. Yeah, that's expected. I mean, that is not uncommon, Snipe. Not uncommon at all. Not uncommon. There's three prisons you don't ever want to be in: Moscow Prison Center, North Korean's prison, and Germany's military prison. Nah. Nope. Here's the thing. I could deal with almost every one of them except maybe North Korean's prison. North Korea. There's a reason behind that. But one that I'll honestly say no, and I know Moscow Prison Center, that shit, yeah, I get it. I know why you're saying that. But one of them that's not on the list here is a Japanese prison. The US, you have all of these freedoms and like all these things you can actually do and buy in prison. Japanese prison is like, nigga, you are sitting here. You are in chill mode. You sleep your ass on that light ass tatami on the floor. It's gonna be quite a few of y'all in this motherfucking room. You more than likely, like, I mean, there is nothing for you to do. Nothing. Just sit and dwell on what the fuck you did. Deal with it. All right? You cool? Good. It's a wrap. What? You get yard time. Even like jail is like Japan. Like going to jail is like, fuck, just send me to prison. Because it's just one of those things. It's like literally, you are here to be rehabilitated and reformed. TV? What? Bro, get your ass out there on the yard. Do something. That's it. Want to write some poetry, some calligraphy, some shit like that? All right. Learn a skill of trade, work in the kitchen. That's it. All that other shit, ain't no comfy mattresses. Like, none of that shit. It's like, damn, bro. Send me to the U.S. in prison. North Korea's prison by itself. Hey, stop. Fuck. So many things I can say about North Korea and some of the things I know about that place. So many people have gone there and didn't return. And try and escape if you want to. I think we all know what happens when you try and run from there. What about Alcatraz? But Alcatraz, the only thing about Alcatraz that was an issue, like number one, it's closed down. It's no more longer a functioning prison. Alcatraz was. Wait, am I thinking of the right one? It was off on an island on its own. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, it's off on an island in and of itself. Motherfuckers still breaking out of that bitch. They didn't give a damn. They didn't care. Motherfuckers was trying to dig their way out that motherfucker. Like that's just what it is. But no, as far as like prison systems go, I can understand why you listed those three as three of the worst ones to be in. But as far as prisoners go, the U.S. does host the most prisoners the world over. Facts. Yeah, Alcatraz is on an island by itself. It's where they had most of the murderers. And at one point, yep, good old Al. Oh, here's what's crazy. I actually, at one point in time in my life, the only moments that I was in high school before leaving for college, I had a very short high school stint. I didn't have to go to it the normal time frame. I was too smart for that shit. Straight to college. But anyway, young lady who is a descendant of his, in fact, what she's a great, 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 great granddaughter, shit like that. I don't remember how far down the line, but not too much removed. Let's just say she was a bad one. She was a baddie for real. But anyway, all right, you guys. So yeah, we have been rolling for 3 hours, 17 minutes. I would love to go ahead and keep streaming right now, but I do have to get up in the morning and try and get some work done prior to the people getting here to test out my internet because I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do, and I need a little bit of sleep. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you are on YouTube, as is always known, please go ahead, like the video, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think on any of the topics we spoke on. And I think my Discord's on there. If not, at some point I'll have to put it back up again. You guys can always leave videos or I don't know, comments of topics and things like that that you want to discuss right there in Discord. If you're on Twitch, please feel free to go ahead and follow. Subscribe if you want to. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. I will be running the rerun after I end the stream. I recommend you to watch it, bro. It was fun. Rest well, Bullet. I already know that life. I tend not to watch too much TV though, Snipe. Honestly, there's a few shows that I've watched, and it's primarily due to that I started watching a couple of these shows. I watch those and I don't watch TV. I work and animes on playing in the background typically or on gaming. That's it. That's it. But yeah, thanks a lot, you guys. I will see you more than likely later on tomorrow. It's been real. It's been fun. But we all know it had to come to an end at some point. So therefore, for now, I'm out.